Hey everyone. Okay, we're back. Who's ready to have some salt dough fun? I am. So what you're going to want to do is get yourself a bowl. Of course, here at the rec, we've got a Halloween candy bowl that was laying around. Obviously, I've already been playing around with some salt dough because it has been fun to play around with it this week. So get yourself a bowl and let's get our craft kit out. Okay. So in this craft kit, I believe we have your paints. We've got all the ingredients already measured out for you, which is some flour and salt. And then we put these popsicle sticks in there just to help you with some cutting and making designs and whatnot in the dough and have a little fun with that when you're done making the dough. Okay. Also, I've got myself about half cup of water. You can get a little more just sitting over here off to the side, ready to go. Hold on to that bag. It's going to be good to have. You could possibly use it as a work surface, okay? You're definitely going to want to be prepared to have some flour and stuff everywhere, just in case. So it could get a little messy, but that's kind of the fun of it. Okay, so now we have our salt. So it should be about a half cup of salt that we put in there. You can empty that. Also, save this bag that we gave you too, because that's going to be a good, well, I'll show you how we're going to use that in a minute. So I'll put that down over there. Okay, same thing, we got about a half cup of flour. Now, I'm going to tell you, actually, let's see, put the flour in, and I don't know if you can see, I'm squeezing a little bit here in the corner because I want to save a little bit. Okay, maybe about a tablespoon, teaspoon worth. So dump all the flour in, save yourself just a little bit of flour there. Okay, we're going to use that moving forward. All right, let's get our water. Now, you're not going to dump all this water in all at once, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to do just a little bit at a time. Okay, so maybe about a tablespoon at a time. You can use your hands. If you don't really want to get too dirty, you can use the popsicle sticks, kind of stir it around. But I'll be honest with you, it's a lot more fun when you use your hands. Okay, so you have one hand for mixing, and that's going to be your dirty hand, okay? Then use your other hand with the water, and that's going to be your clean hand for getting supplies. Eventually both hands are going to get dirty, but for right now, okay. So you see I'm pouring it in just a little bit, mixing it up. It's going to start to come together just a little bit, get a little bit crumbly, so you're definitely going to need more water, okay. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overwater, but here's the thing, just in case, if you put too much water in and you happen to have flour in the house, you can just add more flour later, but to err on the side of caution, we're just going to do a little bit at a time. Okay, so we're mixing this up. Okay, see it's starting to come together, starting to form a little bit of a ball. Okay, it's still a little bit dry. We don't want to make it too wet. We don't want to have it too dry, so I'm going to go just a little bit. Okay, now this was a half cup of water. I've got probably about a half of that left, so a quarter cup left. There you go. Look at, we're learning math. Who knew? Okay, some fractions. All right, it's starting to come together. Okay, I'm going to gather all the little bits. Okay. Scraping all the flour off the side. I've got my ball of dough here. I can set the bowl aside. Now this is where we're going to get both hands dirty. I do have a cleaning towel, hopefully. Yes, I do, down there. Okay. And now we're going to start to have a ball of dough that comes together like that. See? Okay. Now this is where I said maybe leave some of that flour in the bag. And of course, if you have flour at home, you can use your own flour, but we tried to give everybody what you needed. So you'll see I'm just going to dump this flour on my work surface. Again, hold on to this bag. I'll show you why. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got flour on the work surface down here. Spread it out. And then you're going to just knead the dough just a little bit. Okay, you can put some more flour in there. See, it's all coming together nice, fun. Kind of got a Play-Doh consistency. And there you go. Okay, and guess what? Now we've made salt dough. Okay, let's get back up here. All right. Actually, I'm going to move it down just a little bit so we can see a little better the work surface. You can kind of see me. I guess I'm not important. All right. Now, if you have a rolling pin, okay. It's fun to have, you know, a nice flat surface. If you're going to work on the table, you're definitely going to want to have a little flour down there so things don't stick on the table so much. This is where this can come into play, where you want to be able to lift it up easily. Okay. I'm just going to make a ball here. I'll come together. I'm going to use one bag like that. I put the other bag on top. And then I just kind of flattened it out. You don't want to make these too thin. When we were experimenting this past week, we found that if we made things too thin, it would kind of crumble and break a little easily. Okay, now, oh, I forgot to tell you. So what you can do, if you want, and maybe we'll do that right now. So I'm gonna cut this in half. So I'm basically cutting my dough in half. Okay, so I've got two things of dough. Get my bowl again. I'm gonna put one in there, one on the side here, and I'm gonna color the dough. Because you can do that. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of that paint. Just gonna put just a bit of a glob on that. Again, my hands are gonna get dirty, but all this is washable. It'll come off. Okay. So you can see I just kind of put it on the dough. You can use food coloring too. Food coloring is definitely going to stain your hands. This paint, the good thing is that, like I said, it's acrylic, so it's washable. It'll come off easier. Okay, and you just kind of work it in. And you can start to see the dough's changing color. If you want it to be more saturated color, which is brighter color, fun color, you can definitely add more paint to it. Just like that. Okay. I got some that dripped into the bowl. Just going to dab it with the dough and pick it up. Okay. So there we go. Now we're making the colored dough. And again, you can add what you want. You can play with colors. We gave you the primary colors, some fun colors. All right. Even if you have that marble effect, I think that kind of looks cool like that too. All right. So I'm just going to leave that one like that. This one here, I'm going to come in and I think I'm going to do red and blue. I'm going to do my old high school alma mater, North Tonawanda High School colors. Go Jacks. Add some blue onto there. Okay. Just like that. This is probably going to drip. I'm just going to do it over the bowl. Okay. And just start working that in. See, yeah, I'm going to get messy. That's fine. Yeah, the blue's turning out a little bit darker. I think I used a bit more paint for the blue than I did for the red, but that's fine. You guys get the idea. Okay. Once again, what you want to do when you're doing any of this stuff too is you want to start off small, depending on the color you want, but you want to add a little and add a little more, because you can always add a little more, but when you get to this point, you can't really take it away. So, okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, ball of blue, ball of red. All right, I'm going to get my bowl out of the way here. All right, and I'm just going to wipe off my hands for a quick second. A little water, wipe it off. All right, because I have a flat surface, okay, I'm going to take some of this because I want some of that flour. All right, now you can kind of play with it, and let's make something. So I think what I'm going to do, now a couple ideas what you can do, what's fun, and actually if you use all the dough together, one big thing of dough, and you make a big round patty of dough, you can kind of do your handprint in it, and that's kind of cool. I don't have the example of that. I'm sorry for that. But the fun thing is you can play around, you can learn, you know, what works, what doesn't, what you want to do. Again, this craft is a lot of fun to do because, you know, salt and flour are readily accessible. Again, you can get these ingredients at the dollar store or any store. I mean, we know that. Any grocery store is obviously going to have flour and salt. Okay, so I'm going to make, okay, since I have the red and blue, I'm going to stick with that theme. You can either do where you cut out a shape or where you kind of draw on it. Okay, so you could do something like, let's see, you know what, my mom's birthday is coming up. So maybe I'm going to do something here where I draw on it. If you can see it, let me move this back here a little bit. And this is where picking the dough up off the table, if you want to move it, this is kind of where this plastic bag comes into play, because you can then slide it around without having to move it up off the table. Okay, so let's do this. My mom loves the color red. I always think she looks really good in red. So I'm going to make this, if I want to flatten it without getting my fingerprints, use the other bag on top. See that? I kind of sandwich it between the two plastic bags. You get a nice flat surface. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of use the end of my popsicle stick here and draw a heart, because I love my mom. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to write the word, and you can kind of drag your popsicle stick through. I find that doing just like the little dabby thing to make lines makes them a little neater. I screwed up a little bit, and also the great thing about this is if you screw up, you just kind of ball it up and you can flatten it again and start over. But you know what? I kind of like it. It's fun. Okay. So now I have that. You can see how that turned out. Heart, mom. All right. So that's one. I'm going to move that over here. Set that off to the side. And now I've got my blue dough over here. I'm going to try and pat it so that it's all equal thickness. All right, got a little crumb of flour there. I'm going to pull out of that. Okay, there. And on this one, I think what I'm going to do is every summer I spend a lot of time at my mom's house, and we go to the market together. We go to the flower nurseries, plant nurseries together, and we plant flowers. My mom loves to have gardens, flowers all over. She does a great job of it. So I think on this one, I'm going to draw a flower. And we'll just do kind of a real simple daisy type thing. Okay. And again, I colored this blue just because I wanted to show you guys how you can use the paint to color the dough. But if you're going to do a picture where you're going to do a flower or a heart, and I'm going to come back and paint these once they're dried out. You know, you could use white, and then you got kind of a clean palette, and you can paint. You can use, you know, the color after and paint. But just doing a couple petals there. And just be careful too when you're drawing, quote unquote, drawing with your popsicle sticks on the dough, that you're not puncturing through the dough. You just want to do it just a little, just make a little indentation. Okay. There we go. Fun. Pretty little flower. Okay. I don't know if you can see that well enough. All right. Okay. So there we go. I got my two salt dough things. Now, there's two options you can do here. Okay. You can get an adult to help you. Well, you're definitely going to want to get an adult to help you with the one. You could take these and you can put them in an oven and you can bake them at 200. You want to go low and slow. So 200, between 150 and 200. You know, if your oven burns a little hot, you can stay between 150 and 200 degrees. Okay. So I did it at 200 degrees, and I have my little, here at the rec office, we've got a little toaster oven, so I'm going to use that. So, but it's going to be about 200 degrees it's going to be a while. It could take almost an hour, okay? But again, it's low and slow, because you don't want to go too fast because it'll burn it, or too high temperature, because it'll burn it. So I'm going to take this. It's nice. Using the plastic, it kind of peels off, okay? I've got a piece of tin foil that's in my trusty, okay? Put that on there. I have a peel that other one off of there. Put that on there as well. Okay. And we're going to put this in. I'm putting it in my toaster oven. You can put it in your oven. Okay. And this one has a timer on it that's going to make noise. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, it's kind of loud. Can't imagine you can't hear it. So for the sake of not being annoying on the video, I'm not going to turn that on right now, but I am going to turn it on once I shut the video off, and I'm going to bake this. It's probably going to take about an hour, possibly more. You're going to want to keep checking on it. The other option that you can do is you can leave these out to dry. Okay, they can just dry naturally on their own. What you're going to want to do though is if you're going to have them dry is maybe get them on a, put them on a towel if you have an old towel, an old rag. You know, I've got these, you know, rags that I have. I would set the dough on top of that just so it absorbs the moisture. You don't want to leave it on the plastic bag or maybe even on your table or on some tin foil because it just kind of is sitting in its own moisture and it doesn't dry so easily. So you want to get it on something. Oh, even your paper bag, okay? You can like set it on here, but you kind of want it up on a drying rack so it's the airflow is all around it to dry it out. The drying process, if you're just going to let it air dry, can take a very long time. So especially if you just leave it in the house. If we're gonna have some sunny days these next few days, you know, put it outside, put it in a sunny spot. I bet you that sun within a day will get that nice. I don't know why I didn't experiment with that this week. I just thought of it right now, but I should have definitely have had these outside baking in the sun. Okay, but I'm gonna let this bake in our toaster oven for about an hour and we'll come back. I'll come back with the next